Hello everyone, welcome to Willadine's Kitchen. For those returning, welcome back for another one of our video recipes. And I want to thank everybody for subscribing. While you're here, please hit that subscribe button. We appreciate your support. So we're going to jump right into this today. We're going to do cinnamon rolls, homemade fresh baked cinnamon rolls. Everybody loves cinnamon rolls that I know, and just about every bakery that has fresh baked goods has some type of cinnamon roll on the menu. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make a little paste out of this 2 tablespoons of flour here. This is bread flour, and we have a 1/4 cup of water and a 1/4 cup of milk. We'll put that in a pan and we'll heat that up, and then it'll turn into a paste-like texture. We have 2 1/4 cups of bread flour and about 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt, just a pinch of salt in this bowl right here. And we're going to mix our dough up with, we have a teaspoon of yeast here, dry active yeast in this bowl. And we have a teaspoon of sugar here. We're going to mix that up with just 1/2 cup of warm water, get our yeast started. Once we get our dough in the mixing bowl, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of sugar, a little extra sweetness there. We have 1 egg here as well. And we have the 2 tablespoons of room temperature butter. So that's gonna, all of this here on this side will comprise our dough. We're gonna make our paste mixture with this over here. Our cinnamon roll topping, we have 2 tablespoons of butter, 2 1/2 teaspoons of cinnamon, and 1/2 cup of brown sugar. We mix this all together. We melt the butter, we mix it all together, and then we sprinkle that between the dough. We roll it up, and we're going to have some cinnamon rolls. So I'm going to show you how we get this done. So let's get started. Add the 1/4 cup of milk and the 1/4 cup of water to a bowl. Add the 2 tablespoons of flour and whisk until it's combined well. Then we'll add to the saucepan. Add the mixture to a pan on the stove, and as it heats up, it'll turn into a paste-type texture. Okay, now we're going to get our yeast together real quick. So we're going to use 1/2 cup of water here. We're going to add the sugar to the warm water. Make sure your water is warm. Mix that up. And then add the yeast right into the water. And it'll start to get a little bit of a, you'll see the yeast activated. It'll start to bubble and get a frothy look to it. That should take maybe 5-6 minutes for that to happen. Okay, so now we're ready to start mixing. What we're gonna do is we're gonna add the flour and the salt to the mixing bowl, just like so. We're gonna add our 2 tablespoons of sugar in there as well. Just gonna mix that in there just a little bit. We're gonna add our dough hook here to the mixer. We're going to add our yeast and water. Make sure we're just getting frothy. The yeast is activated. We're going to add our 1 egg right into the bowl. And we have our flour mix, the paste mixture that we mixed up earlier. You have to let that cool down too, everyone. When you take this off the stove, you have to let it cool down before you add it to your mixture. So we get everything started. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of get this combined a little bit. Then we'll add the butter to it. And then we're going to let the mixture go for about 7 to 8 minutes to get the dough kneaded in there nice and well. Okay, we can see our dough coming together. So we're going to add our butter to the mixing bowl now. So I'm going to add the butter. And I'm also going to take this opportunity to scrape down, try to make sure all of the flour gets combined here and not make too much of a mess. Okay, this is our dough. It's been kneading for 8 minutes now. So what we're going to do is we're going to get it out of the mixing bowl and onto the counter so we can start preparing it for the rolls. But we got to knead out just a little bit more. Okay, so we have some flour down on our surface. We have our dough in the bowl here. We're going to get it out onto the counter. Okay, so this is our cinnamon roll dough, and it feels a little sticky, but I believe we can certainly work with this. So what we're going to do is we're just going to knead a little bit more so we can form a ball out of it, a nice ball. And what I like about the dough, when your dough is nice and smooth like that, and you don't see any dry spots or any clumps of flour or any clumps of butter, it's mixed in there nice and well, and it's very soft, so that's good as well. So we're just gonna fold this in a little bit more. We have us a nice ball. So what we do with this ball is we put it in the oiled bowl. Those of you who watch me make bread before know. Put it in here, and we're gonna let it rise, at least double in size. That usually takes about an hour to 90 minutes. So we're gonna cover this up and let it rise. Okay, so while we're waiting on our cinnamon dough to rise, we're gonna make our cinnamon roll filling with a 1/2 cup of brown sugar, light brown sugar, and 1.5 teaspoons of ground cinnamon powder. And you just mix that up in a bowl. Just mixed in well. And this is what we're going to sprinkle on top of our dough once we get it rolled out. And you can see the color is a little darker with the brownness now from the cinnamon in there with the sugar. It smells great. And what we're going to do is we're going to spread a little bit of this butter on the top of our dough. Once we get it rolled out, give us a little extra buttery flavor. And now we're going to unwrap our dough. It's been rising now for an hour and 10 minutes, so it rolls up pretty good. It's doubled in size, and it just looks good. This is a beautiful looking dough. So what we're going to do is we're going to put some flour on our countertop here, so we can fold the dough out of the bowl onto the counter, just like so. That looks great. Okay, so now I'm gonna put a little flour on my hands. Gotta get your hands dusted with flour here. Sprinkle just a little flour on the top. Oh, that feels so good, that dough. Get some flour underneath here. All right, so that's good. So what I'm gonna do is try to get it started in a rectangular-like shape. And then we'll start rolling. Okay, so now that my dough is rolled out, and it doesn't have to be perfect, you just want it to be somewhat of a rectangle. At least I like it that way. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna spread some of this pretty much melted, but it's not melted all the way, but very soft butter onto the dough. And once we get that done, we're going to sprinkle our brown sugar and cinnamon mixture right on top. And you can use a spoon, but I find it's just much easier to just do just like the bakers do in the bakery. Just put it in your hand. Make sure you get it all over the dough. Just like so. Some spots might have a little bit more than others. But you want to try to get it as evenly distributed as possible. Just like so. So now that we have that on there, I like to add one additional thing that I like. Some people don't, but I like nuts. So I'm going to add some toasted walnuts in here. Not a whole lot, just a few. Give us a little crunchy texture. All right, there we go. And the next thing we have to do is we have to roll the dough. So I'm going to start over here on the edges. And just kind of roll it in. Get a nice roll started on the edges. And you want to keep the roll tight, because it's going to bake in the oven, of course. And you can take your time rolling. Looks like I might get a little flour here sticking to my hand some. There we go. See, it will roll up for you. And it's like that. So we get us a nice roll going. Keep it nice and packed. This is what our dough looks like rolled out. What we have to do now is we're going to cut it and get it in the pan. Okay, so I have a greased baking pan here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it in half, and then put 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to place these in the pan. And I'm going to finish this up and get the whole pan ready to go. Okay, so here are rolls in the pan. We're going to let them rise again. They should puff up nice and good. And then we'll put them in a 350-degree oven for about 25 minutes. Now you bake these at 350 because you don't want to burn the sugar. There's a lot of brown sugar in there, and we don't want to burn the sugar while we're baking the buns. Okay, so these are our rolls after 40 minutes. You can see they doubled in size again. So what we're going to do is we're going to get these in the oven, 350 degrees, 20 to 25 minutes. We're not going to egg wash them on the top because we're going to cover them with a beautiful sugary glaze when they come out of the oven. So into the oven we go. Okay, here are our rolls. I just took them out of the oven just now. We got some nice browning on the top there. We have to let them cool off a little bit before we put our glaze on top, but we have some cinnamon rolls. Okay, our cinnamon rolls have cooled down. So we're gonna put some of that nice white glaze right over the top of them. And I'm just drizzling it on right now. And then I'll spread it over in a second. But it looks good. Okay, so freshly baked cinnamon rolls, the best thing to have with a hot cup of coffee. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take one of them out so we can taste it, see what they taste like. The dough is soft. Let's cut into it. See if we can get a cross cut. We got our cinnamon there. The center of our dough looks nice and cooked here, so let's give it a taste. Soft, sweet, filled with cinnamon flavor. Very good, very tasty. I was worried about the bottom of the roll getting burnt, but as you can see, we got a really nice caramelized brown color on the bottom. It didn't burn. This turned out to be a really good cinnamon roll. I want to thank you for viewing. Hope you enjoyed this recipe. Try it at home, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.